Hey everybody, Mac Monster back with Marvel Heroes, and of course we got the big patch out and rolling out with Black Widow's design review. And well, to say the least, it's disappointing, and it's probably even more disappointing than Human Torches. Uh, if you didn't watch Human Torches is disappointing because the designers were trying to rope you into doing something you shouldn't do. This is disappointing. I don't know if they listen to a certain someone that's considered to be Black Widow's expert or whatever, but it's just terrible. There is a build that does kind of work pretty competently in Cosmics as long as you don't hit range deflection, because you have to play towards this person's favorite style, because it's definitely geared to it. But let me go over the skills and the changes and what I like and don't like. First off, they have the melees, the crippling strike. They're actually pretty nice because they did a moderate snare to it. It's minus slow, minus attack speed, minus movement speed. Pretty good. And it also weakens, so they deal less damage. Not a bad add-on, giving that a comfortable reason to use over Deadly Blade, which adds a dot with extra damage to bosses. It's probably one of the most potent anti-boss moves there is. The problem with those two moves is bosses absolutely annihilate you, and with the recent nerf to the costume cores and healing, yeah, you ain't gonna do it. And it's really stupid, especially alone. I mean, if you had a tank tanking for you or something, you can absolutely make Deadly Blade a super viable boss killer. If someone was able to taunt the boss off from you and keep them completely away from you, this will do phenomenal damage. It's probably the best boss burner out there, as long as the boss isn't looking at you. Because when the boss looks at you, it totally destroys you. That's the problem. So even with the melee passive being worked in and everything, it still destroys you. It destroys you like it destroys Black Panther, and it destroys you even worse than it destroys Black Panther. Again, that is because of the way the stat changes it worked. They say they buffed everything, but with the changes to the way fighting used to be, her fighting skill was so high that she used to take less damage from fighting skills. Now that's all gone. At least I believe it's all gone. Let's just take a look there. Yep, all gone. All you get is damage. There's no more damage reduction from fighting abilities. So that's another nerf that they sit there and say didn't happen, but it's there. And that was actually a huge damage reduction, somewhere around 20% less damage from fighting abilities. Now, it didn't matter if it was energy, didn't matter if it was physical, could have been mental fighting ability, didn't matter. If it was a fighting ability, you took less damage for having a fighting stat. So that's what's going on with your melee characters and how they're getting totally pummeled into the ground. You need durability through the so much durability in armor and hit points to make it work. And with the cores being changed, you'll never regen all the hit points. It's not going to happen. You can't tank anymore. They took away hit point regeneration. Now they're taking away core regeneration. So, you got nothing left to get your hit points back with. You're just going to die. There's no tanking anymore. Terrible move. I hate the direction this game's going. Their developers really don't know what they're doing. And by the time raids come out, how the heck are you going to raid? You can't heal. You can't recover hit points. And you're going to come across stuff that's going to be even worse than Cosmics. I mean, that's going to be a nightmare. There's no healing class out there. Nobody can heal you. How are you going to raid? That makes absolutely no sense. So I hope they really start thinking about what they're doing in a grand scheme. Right now, it's not too terrible, because all you do is you start going to range. Melee's useless. Go to range. Unless, you got a few out there that can do it, like Miss Marvel. She's got phenomenal regeneration, but she's about the only character out there that's really with that kind of phenomenal regeneration. Anyways, I digress. One thing that's pretty cool is duration on the stealth roll can be gotten up there pretty good, 5 seconds. I think this is nerfed. They're not saying it, but if I remember correctly, I used to be able to stealth a little longer. But they added a damage negation for 10 seconds after using a melee ability. Yeah, it doesn't work too well. 8% isn't enough. They could have done 25%, and it still probably wouldn't be enough. However, you do get an attack and movement speed after using it, and that's awesome. So that is definitely a kudo move. I like that. On Red Room reflexes, they kind of kept it the same. I don't think it's really reworked. I think it's upped a little bit. You get a little bit more crit and brutal strike rating, and a lot more crit and brutal strike damage rating. And it seems like more spirit when you do critically or brutal strike. I have made it so that's almost unimportant. And there does seem to feel like there is a internal cooldown on that spirit regeneration, as I'm critting several times a second, but it seems like I'm only getting that spirit once per second. Acrobatic assault, damage is up there. I don't see anybody really using that too much. Sweep kick, they've increased the damage, and enemies take damage when it's used. It's a lot of spirit though, and it doesn't feel so synergetic. I actually would have preferred this to be Deadly Kick as opposed to Deadly Kick, which just has a critical damage rating. Deadly Kick and coup de grace, which has been reworked, which is supposed to work off of your new power here, which is Widowmaker. You generate this Widowmaker resource that you basically is useless until it gets to 100. So I don't even know why they have it regenerate. They should just have it sit there at null and then just pop up saying you can do a killer shot or something like that. And that's basically what happens. Once it gets to 100%, you fire off a coup de grace or a deadly kick, and it does what appears to be double or triple damage. I think it's double damage. You can do that about once every 10 to 15 seconds. And really what this is doing is really making coup de grace or deadly kick. That's really becoming your signature ability. This Twilight cloaking device, it absolutely sucks. I mean, it's not really sucky, but it's 6-second buff for stealth, which you can't be attacked or anything, which is nice for 6 seconds. You get damage, defense, and crit rating of 727. Let me just say, why they put defense in there, I have no idea. It's absolutely useless. Nothing can hit you while you're stealthed. So that is a mechanic they didn't even need to bother with. The damage and crit rating obviously is nice, so that is good. It only lasts for 6 seconds on a 50-second cooldown, so that's absolutely horrible. It does basically end up being longer, because if you take it to the ultimate, it used to be, I think, 40 seconds on a 10-minute cooldown. This would actually, if you did it over 10 minutes, would end up being much longer than 40 seconds, somewhere around a minute 10, minute to 15 seconds. So you actually get more stealth out of it, but popping it every 50 seconds for 6 seconds just doesn't feel grandiose at all. So coup de grace, kind of with this Widowmaker resource, kind of becomes more of a signature tied in with the cloaking device. So that's why the signature really isn't that flashy. Snapshot really hasn't done much. It's got a snare on it. I don't know if that snare was there with some critical damage rating. So it's a nice ranged basic. It fires real fast, does some pretty decent damage. They added or changed the stinging shot. It's a little bit faster to shoot. It doesn't knock down. It's not bad. However, there's so many spirit burners. It's kind of weird. I don't see this being a popular one, but you can use it. It will knock things down. It's a one shot. It hits the enemy. It goes down. Covert sniper is a new one that they added. When you hold the button, it charges up, and it's supposed to put you into the stealth. Thought it'd be interesting to use as a an attempt to kind of be in a perma stealth where you just kind of fire it off, 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 and see if you could kind of make it like a build that way. And it doesn't always work. It doesn't always put you into stealth, so it's kind of buggy. So if you're trying to make that work for you, it's not going to work for you. It won't work at all. Probably out of all the skills, the new best skill is going to be Stinging Barrage. Sad-faced. You can tell that the so-called leading authority on Black Widow in the forums had their say in it because it's their favorite skill and it's the only skill that's worthwhile now. Does really good damage, almost as good as damage as Deadly Blade. About 70-75% of the damage is Deadly Blade when skilled for and built up properly. Doesn't cost too much and can be maintained for a long time when built up properly as well. Unfortunately, like I said, out of the whole kit, it's the only skill that's actually worthwhile. And I'll go over that in a minute. Kevlar Reinforcement, very strong skill still. You know, it's giving you spirit when you're not using a skill, projectile deflection, dodge, defense, tenacity, if that's even working yet. Already went over Twilight Cloaking Device. That's the signature. It's interesting. I'm thinking of it as more of an oh no button than an oh yes button. And then Spycraft, if you look, my build has not even 1 point in any of this crud. This is all crud destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. These grenades do no damage at all. I mean, they do not scale well at all. They go up to about maybe 2,000-3,000 damage each. Horrible, horrible damage. With some damage over time. You can spam the heck out of them in a Cosmic, and the whites just stand there. And they make such a big mess, you can't even see what's going on. It's absolutely a horribly, horribly done skill now. Like I said, that forum authority loves big explosions and loves spray and pray type stuff. So his word on that got through. If you use this and try to spam kill with this, you'll take about, I don't know, 50 grenades will blow up a pack of whites. You will not kill blues with these grenades. You'll have to, if you build for the grenades, maybe you'll start taking out blues, and it's going to be a waste of time. It's just horrible. Widow's Kiss still does adequate damage and has an okay dot, and it weakens things. The range was never increased, and it's mediocre, and it's almost time-consuming to get into range and then get out of range and everything. It's just, it was never given any love or thought. It's the same as it was, and it was really good for melee, but with melee not being good anymore, it's really not that good anymore because it's kind of a close to mid-range skill. This anti-personal grenade, which was stun grenades before, they work actually kind of well. These are probably the best of the whole grouping. And so if you're going to give any thought to using any of them, these are pretty good because they give you a decent stun and decent damage. And they go where you throw. So they're not too bad and they don't work too slow. They're not instantaneous, but they're good enough. Flawless Escape. This will work. This is PvP. Widow's Zipline. This is kind of like Spider-Man's move. I'm going to stealth. I'm not going to use this. This was a totally useless skill thrown on here. There's no other... I mean, you can knock things down, but if you're going to knock down, go with the damage and sweep kick them. This is totally useless skill. I don't even know why it's there. Other skills I still don't understand why they're here are timed explosions and remote detonations. It's kind of a nifty idea, but you know, with 5 seconds basically to place 5 bombs and then a second to hit the remote detonation, it's really hard to set up and time everything. It doesn't work right, especially when you're doing cosmic bosses or anything like that. They do okay damage if you can get it to go right. Half the time you're placing them and the boss isn't anywhere near them before the timers start going off. So it's absolutely a horrible skill. The bomb timer, if it wasn't there, and you could just drop them and then remote detonate when you felt like it, so you can get the boss back over them again. That would probably work, but apparently, between all the developers and the forum authority, they don't have that ability to come up with an idea like that. So there you go. And finally, the micro drones that they're all raving about on the forums and everything. These are absolutely horrible. They do no damage. It says they fire off in 12 pairs. I see 4 to 6 fall down from the sky at most. They could be falling down in multiples, and I'm not catching it. However, what happens is, instead of coming out from you like they used to emanate from Black Widow and hit usually the first target. And it was really solid for melee people because you'd roll up, be in front of the boss, it would hit the boss when you first shot him off, and the boss would get pounded by like 90% with the last iteration of the drones. The original iteration, which they nerfed because they say that they crashed the servers, it wasn't the reason. It was because they were extremely deadly to other bosses. Now what happens is you hit them and they fire off on top of random mobs. So if there's multiple mobs out there, they're not falling on the mob you're targeting. They're falling all over the place. So you can't even get them to go down. They're doing a couple damage here and there. They're worse damage than these real rolling grenades. Absolutely horrible skill nerf. I mean, it's just, I can't even believe this tree hit live. It's absolutely horrendous. The rest of this tree is almost horrendous too. I mean, like I said, the only thing good in it is Stinging Barrage. And that's going into my build, which is completely based off of just Stinging Barrage. All I'm doing is Stinging Barrage things to death because everything else is just a waste of time. It takes forever to rolling grenades things to death. It takes forever to Widow's Kiss. You can work in Deadly Blade and Widow's Kiss just to do trash, but to have a shot at doing cosmic bosses and everything like that, you can't get near them because they're going to destroy you. And then you still have that problem with blues and yellows and the cosmics that will destroy you, just like Black Panther. So again, another character that used to be melee capable and hybrid capable, completely put into a range mode. And that's because the foreign authorities love the range mode. But this does work, and it's actually a little bit better than it was before. So in that respect, it is more cosmic capable than earlier. So what I'm doing here is I got Red Room Reflexes. We're going to max that out with 20 points in that skill. I put 20 points into Silent Killer. This is the stealth roll, just for the max stealth duration when I need it, and the extra attack speed and everything for a longer duration. I put 20 points into Kevlar Reinforcement. Even though I got the unique, I wanted the extra 3 points over it. And so I had nowhere else to really go. I'm not putting points in Twilight Cloaking because I'll only get a couple hundred extra rating for 6 seconds. It's just not worth it. Obviously, we're going to put 20 points into Stinging Barrage. We're going to maximize that to its fullest potential. Gear-wise, plus Stinging Barrage, anything Stinging Barrage is what you're really looking for. Plus energy damage, plus Stinging Barrage. That's your goal. Even though we're putting points into Coup de Grace, which is over here, and we're putting points into Snapshot, our primary focus is going to be Stinging Barrage. Snapshot is just in case we run out of spirit somehow. The gear is going to keep us in spirit, but should it actually happen, we have a backup that does almost the same kind of damage. This will do 50% of the damage, 60% of the damage of Stinging Barrage. And Coup de Grace, when Widowmaker resource is up, actually hits kind of hard. It's worth hitting the extra button. Something extra to do. And that's the build. It's very simple. A little bit more complex to do if there's a bubble. If there's a missile deflection bubble up there, you're just in trouble. You're going to have to get into the bubble and spam it and get out of the bubble when you're in trouble. But you're going to be in trouble if there is a bubble anyways with the melee build as well, because then you have to deal with all those circles, and those circles just destroy her. So I will go ahead and do a Cosmic Dr. Octopus. I've been doing several of those already. Oh, gear. Almost got ahead of myself here. Very, very important part, River of the Soul. Very easy to get. Another reason why I go with it, but the 6 spirit on hit, very nice. There's an internal cooldown on it, of course, so we're not going to get 60 spirit a second at 10 attacks on the stinging barrage, but we will get a big chunk. I'm using a defensive hero because, like I said, she is pretty weak. With the changes to the advanced Phoenix Feather, the plus damage to energy attacks pays off very well for the build, and plus, should we die, which is very possible, we will get reincarnated. Plus, we have some movement speed and some energy defense. Advanced Super Soldier Serum, needed hit points. Hit points, definitely needed. 17,000 is pretty light for my build here. I don't like being so little, but it's the way it is. She's squishy, and she's going to stay squishy. So with the hit points, hit point regen, spirit, a very big part in spirit regen, also helping out there. And then attack speed. When I gain damage an enemy, I attack faster. Another key part, getting these things to fire even faster. Dr. Doom Metal. Why? Because it has damage rating and power duration. That's going to help with a little bit longer on the Twilight cloaking device, but also when we do our Silent Killer roll, we'll get some extra attack speed duration when we roll. We'll get some extra stealth duration when we roll, and we actually get some extra damage negation if we used a melee power. We're not, but we would if we did. I'm using Pim's Growth more for the hit points, but it's also got some damage rating on it. She needed hit points. I gotta get over 15k at least. 17k is a little more comfortable. And an advanced meta array with attack speed and damage rating, and of course +1 to all powers. As far as gear goes, this is more for the plus stinging barrage, plus damage rating. That's a nice damage rating on there. +4 to stinging barrage is very nice. +2 spirit when I hit with a basic power. So if I have to use Snapshot, I can go ahead and get some extra spirit faster. I do have her, it's only level 48, but I do have the body armor, which is giving me Kevlar reinforcement at rank 20. It's alright because it has hit points. There is no hit point regeneration on it, so that's the only thing I don't like about it. Luckily, I do have a very nice belt with 6,000 hit point regeneration on it, with spirit and health, and damage to targets that are attacking me. This is a killer belt. I don't know how it stayed purple. I might even actually pay to have it go cosmic, but my luck, I'd probably get her unique after I did that. Just standard farming boot and a semi-farming belt. On the ring, ranged powers, health, biggest things out there. I prefer to have some crit rating. Crit ratings can give some extra spirit, even though River of the Soul is really taking care of that. An extra crit rating would be damage too, and that would help. The defense is kind of nice on it. Core, 25% of my health on medkit use, even though it's now nerfed, so I can only get 3,000 hit points on use and 100 spirit. I'm still going to go with that on the core. And this one's got durability, so I can take a little bit extra damage. And then the insignia of a Quake. What I like about this is I have a 3% chance to knock enemies down. Basically, once every 3 seconds, I'm going to knock down my enemies for 3 seconds. If I'm firing 10 shots a second, every 3 seconds, that's 30 shots. That's 90% chance. And plus, it's got 60 spirit. Hit points would have been nicer, as a spirit isn't going to be so much necessary. And let's see, we'll get our friend Mr. Falcon out. So all I'm going to do is, of course, try to kill things in a row. Try to funnel them in, get them to stack on each other. And then the Stinging Barrage kind of becomes our AoE ability. As you can see, the Spirit, it really isn't too much of an issue. And we're burning down pretty good on those guys. We're going to kind of speed bump on blues and yellows. But that's the way it's going to be. Falcon's being a moron standing there in front of him. I wish these team-ups actually had some kind of intelligence. If you got a ranged team-up, why are you going to stand there and tank these things? Not the smartest team-ups. As you can see, I'm just trying to funnel them away. But they kind of teleport. And that's what I mean. Even the blues, you saw the shotguns, they just knocked me down pretty good. I don't know if you can hear her, but the baby awoke. It never fails. Every time I start a video, she wakes up. Squirrel Girl will be next, but she's only level 50, so there's some work to do with her. And for some reason, it always seems like when I do the Cosmics with Black Widow, the teleporters, every single mob's a teleporter. Fast bosses. That's the other shutdown. Fast bosses. Those really can catch up to you. Make it impossible to get away. It's too bad Stinging Barrage doesn't stun. See, the problem starts becoming with the other spirit burners is you can't do the barrage at the same time. You just spam grenades, or you spam barrage, or you spam something. But you can't spam two, really. So look at that, one of those shotgun blasts just ate me here. 7,000 damage. Oh. Let's see if Falcon's gonna get smarter. teleporting behind me now. Nope, not smarter. Try to think. God, I miss the old drones. In my old course. God. That's the other thing about Stinging Barrage. Even if you aim at something, it doesn't always fire where you're wanting it to. It will misfire. Kind of buggy that way. Yes, sad face bugs still get in from this test server somehow. I don't know who they got testing, but they suck. See what I mean? Every single mob's a teleporter. All they do is just teleport behind you. Also, every single mob's blue. Wow, finally an eternity spinner too. That's been a long time coming. So this is the coup de grace. That's 70k. They can crit for 150, brutal for 200. Usually only do it like bosses and stuff. If I even remember to hit the button. It's really not that spectacular, so you don't really remember to hit the button. That's the problem. It's very, blah. Doesn't even kill a blue outright. You'd think with the generation and everything, it would at least kill something. It's supposed to be coup de grace, which means, death attack. Final death knell. Doesn't do it. So this will be a long attack. You should definitely avoid those attacks. Oh, poison clouds, get out of that. But that's the problem with it too, is it's a very slow attack. They let me get hit. So it's one of those, did you use it? Did you not use it? It's not like I'm getting damage out of it. Nope, no spirit, so we go back to this. Whoa, whoa. The other problem with this ability here is it hits every corner, every jagged wall, every little box. Very poorly coded. God, you think she's dying in there, don't you? I don't know if you can hear her. She's got the crocodile tear going. There you go. Cosmic capable. I don't know, if you ask me, it's pretty blah. I'm sick of this kind of builds. I'm sick of them nerfing all the melee style. I mean, it would be nice to have that as a go-to when, you know, stuff gets ugly at melee range, but, you know, having to play that way forever, I don't know. I guess I just preferred her old ways over her new ways. But that's it. So, that's the Black Widows with the Widow Sting build. Hope it helps. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know I don't like her review. I think it's pretty horrible. Hopefully that means Sue Storm's really good. Who knows? Talk to everyone later.